Last year, right before Halloween, a group of friends and I decided to spend a fun night at home. We started with board games, then moved on to video games, and when we got tired of being indoors, we decided to go out and play something more exciting outside. After trying out a few typical games, someone suggested playing Fugitive. For those who don't know it, it's a team game. Some hide and try to return to a safe zone without being caught, while the others search for them. We agreed enthusiastically. There were 6 of us, so we split into 2 teams of 3 and went our separate ways. I was on the hiding team with 2 friends. One had the brilliant idea to hide inside a Halloween decorative coffin near the safe zone. My other friend and I hid under the porch of the house where the seekers were counting. We waited patiently for about 10 minutes until we decided to move toward the safe zone at the end of the street. When we got there, we saw our friend already sitting there, apparently safe. We joined him and started chatting, confident that we had won. At that moment, an old, white, beat-up car stopped in front of the house. We thought maybe someone was dropping off a family member, but no one got out. 5 minutes passed. The car was still there, motionless. We could have taken it as a warning sign, but we kept talking, brushing it off. Suddenly, the doors opened. 2 figures stepped out of the car. They were dressed completely in black, and most disturbingly, they wore white clown masks. We tried to stay calm, greeted them nervously with things like, "Everything okay? Is something wrong?" They didn't answer. They just stared at us in silence, still and unmoving. The tension was unbearable. In their eyes, even through the masks, there was something deeply disturbing. One of them began to make a guttural growl, like a wild animal. The other started speaking in a dull, slow, emotionless voice. "You shouldn't be outside at this hour," he said, then added, "Be more careful." The tone wasn't aggressive, but it was terrifying, as if they weren't fully human. We tried to play along. One of my friends joked that he would take a picture of them. Just as the flash went off, the clown jerked his head sharply. Only part of his face was captured, an eye and part of his forehead. I too, for some inexplicable reason, wanted to lighten the mood and offered a cough drop to the growling clown. "Sounds like your throat's irritated," I said. Instead of laughing or ignoring me, the guy grabbed my hand tightly. I managed to pull away quickly, but in that moment, I knew the danger was real. This wasn't just a joke. They were willing to touch us, to invade our space. The fear became physical. I quickly looked around for an escape route. All I could think was, if they charge us, we run, kick and bolt. Before anything happened, one of my friends took the lead and said firmly, "Please leave us alone." Surprisingly, the clowns took a step back. They didn't say a word. They slowly walked back to the car without taking their eyes off us. They got in, started the engine, and drove off quickly. We stood frozen. No one said a word. The silence was louder than any scream. Minutes later, our other friends, the Seekers, came around the corner. We told them what had happened. They didn't know what to say. We went to the house of the friend who lived nearby and told his dad, but he laughed it off, thinking it was just a story from frightened teenagers. Still uneasy, we went to another friend's house. His dad, however, did believe us. He drove us all home, even those who lived nearby. He didn't want to take any chances. That night, once home, I tried to calm down. But then I heard a car stop in front of my house. I approached the window. It was the same old, white, beat-up car. I froze. I couldn't move a muscle. The passenger window rolled down slowly. There was the same clown. He looked straight at me, said nothing, just raised his hand and waved. Then the car drove off, and vanished into the darkness. To this day, I don't know how they knew where I lived. Did they follow us that night? Or did they already know everything? Maybe they were just pranksters. But pranksters capable of chilling your blood. I never saw that car or those masks again. But that fear still haunts me. We lived in a small house near an Air Force base in Missouri. I was only 5 years old. My father worked in the Air Force, and he was usually away at night. My mother stayed home with me. Everything was quiet. Until that night. I remember I couldn't sleep. It was always hard for me to fall asleep when my dad wasn't home. So I went down to the living room to play for a while. The TV was on. The porch light was barely glowing, just enough to illuminate the sliding glass door that looked out over the backyard. It was one of those doors with no curtains, the kind that lets you see everything outside. And right on the other side, he was there. A clown, standing in the middle of the path behind the houses. Still, holding a red balloon. He wasn't doing anything, just staring at me. At first I thought it was part of a game, or maybe my imagination. But something deep inside me, even at that age, knew it wasn't normal, it wasn't fun, it wasn't a birthday costume, it was terrifying. A dry, cold, instinctive kind of fear. I stood there frozen, unable to look away, and then, as if my eyes had triggered him, the clown began to run, straight toward the glass door. I screamed, dropped the string I had in my hand, and ran down the hallway like my life depended on it. I pounded on the bathroom door, screaming for my mother. She opened it, wrapped in steam and a towel. I could barely speak. "There's someone in the yard," I sobbed. "A clown." We went back to the living room together. The door was still closed. There were no signs of anyone touching it. No footprints, no smudges, nothing. The clown was gone. We called the police. They came. They asked questions. They searched the yard with flashlights. But they didn't find anything. And apparently, according to them, wearing a costume in public wasn't illegal. Besides, who was going to believe a 5-year-old kid wide awake at 1 in the morning? We never saw him again. But something inside me changed after that night. I stopped playing after dark. I stopped looking out of windows when it was night. And never again, in all these years, have I been able to look at a clown without something twisting in my stomach. I don't know who he was. I don't know what he wanted. But I know it wasn't a dream. I saw him. I felt him. And sometimes, on nights that are just a little too quiet, I swear I can see his silhouette again, standing there, on the other side of the window. Back in those days, when the killer clown craze was at its peak, a friend and I decided to have some fun in our own way. I had no idea how many of those clowns running around were actual criminals, or just people trying to scare others for the thrill of it. But we were definitely the kind that just wanted to spook someone for laughs. As much as we liked to deny it, we knew it was a dumb and kind of mean idea. But we never hurt anyone. Not even close. That was never our intention. We lived in Texas, and every weekend we'd use the excuse of crashing at a friend's place to drive around different parts of the state, pulling off little pranks. During one of those outings, we ended up in a situation that could have turned really dangerous. There was this rural area we knew, a spot down some dirt roads where couples would often hang out, drink, and chill. We figured it'd be a perfect place to scare someone. When we got there, we saw a couple standing next to a red pickup truck. A tall blonde guy and a smaller red-haired girl. They were clearly arguing, and it looked intense. So we didn't jump out right away. The tension was already thick. From where we were hiding in the trees, we could hear her yelling that it was over, and that she was going to call her friends to come get her. Then, suddenly, the guy shoved her, hard. She fell to the ground. And then he started hitting her, screaming, "I'll never let you go!" Look, we were idiots for dressing up as clowns, but we weren't the kind of people to just stand by and let a woman get hurt. We ran out toward him, screaming and flailing our arms like maniacs, seeing a group of clowns charging at you in the dark. Yeah, it must have been terrifying. The guy freaked out. He bolted for his truck, jumped in, and sped off without looking back. The girl ran too, crying and begging for help, but terrified that we'd call the cops. She just wanted to get away. We left fast. As we headed back to our truck, one of my friends pointed at something on the ground where the guy had pushed her down. My heart sank. It was a Bowie knife. We figured he must have dropped it in his panic to escape. We never found out what happened to that couple afterward. But that night, our stupid clown prank might have stopped something much, much worse.